Okay. We've got over 100 or so people. Happy to see you all. So I say, let's get started. So let's start with some introductions. Again, if you're just joining us, please add your name and where you are in the world in the chat. And in the meantime, I'll mention all of the Crossref staff who have put together updates for today. Again, I am Rosa Moraes-Clark, Communications and Events Manager, and joining me today for this session will be Amanda Bartel, Director of Membership, Martin Rittman, our Program Lead, Patricia Feeney, Head of Metadata, Sarah Bowman, our Program Lead, Helena Kusin, Director of Programs and Services. And we do hope that this meeting will be welcoming and inclusive of everyone according to our code of conduct. If you have an issue or a concern, please let any of the hosts or panelists know, and we will take care of that. So it may appear that our agenda is short today, but there's been a lot of developments that we're going to be sharing with you. So the time will pass quickly. We have membership and schema updates, a review of the product roadmap, and then our first ever Metadata Awards. So with that, I am going to pass over to Amanda, who will give a membership update. Amanda.
Great stuff. Thanks, Rosa. Hello, everybody. Yes, we're going to kick off today with a general membership update. We're going to start with a reminder of Crossref scale, just to see an idea of how many members and how many metadata records we have nowadays in our infrastructure. We're also then going to talk a little bit about the members who've joined since our last mid-year community call last May. And if one of you, or if many of you are on the call, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm then going to give an update from our Resourcing Crossref for Future Sustainability programme. And we'll be finishing up with a heads up about some forthcoming changes to our bylaws and membership terms. So let's start with the scale of Crossref today. So we currently have 22,300 member organisations contributing to the infrastructure from 160 different countries. 50% of those members are actually based in Asia, and 40% of those members don't actually consider themselves to be publishers first and foremost. They consider themselves to be universities or scholar-led publishers. We're supported by 125 sponsor organisations and 48 ambassadors. And I'd just like to take a moment to say thank you to our ambassadors and sponsors for all of the support that they offer to our members. We've currently got 170 million open metadata records with DOIs that are resolved 1.3 billion times per month, which is actually 94% of all DOI resolutions. And there are 2 billion queries of our metadata each month too, by thousands of systems ingesting and reusing the metadata, and probably thousands, maybe millions of individual researchers also querying the metadata. But let's turn for a moment to our newer members. Who's joined us since our last community call last May? Well, since then, we've had 2,490 new members joining. And these new members have come from 132 different countries. Reflecting overall trends, a lot of them have come from Asia. 21% of new members who've joined in the last year are based in Indonesia, 9% in India, 3% in Pakistan. Other leading countries are 9% of new members from the USA, 6% from Brazil, and 4% from Turkey. Newer members tend to be smaller organisations. With the exception of 5 or 6, the rest of them are either working with us through a sponsor, or they are in our lowest membership tier for members with paying the smallest annual membership fee for members who have the least publishing revenue. 156 of these new members are eligible for our GEM program, the Global Equitable Membership Program, which gives members based in the lowest income countries in the world access to Crossref membership and infrastructure without paying membership fees or content registration fees. 33% of them identify as universities, first and foremost, and 16% as societies. And interestingly, 50% of those tell us they use the open journal system to host and publish their content. And 32% tell us they actually have no platform whatsoever. So you can there get a kind of flavour of the sort of size and scale of these newer members. They may be small though, but they are mighty. They have in the last year registered 317,000 DOIs with us. So thank you all for your contribution to the infrastructure and welcome. So I'm going to spend a bit of time talking about our Resourcing Crossref for Future Sustainability programme. So as most of you will know, Crossref is sustained by the fees that our members pay, and to a smaller extent by the fees paid by our Metadata Plus subscribers. Members pay an annual membership fee. They pay a one-off content registration fee for each DOI metadata record that they register. And some members choose to take advantage of the similarity check service, which again has an annual service fee and also a per document fee for each manuscript they check in the Authenticate system. Now, we want to make sure that Crossref is here for the long term and that we can support this infrastructure for the long term. And we want to make sure that we are sustainable for the long term, which is where the RCFS program comes from. And actually now's a good time to be doing that because we're in a strong financial position right now. We don't need to make any quick decisions or panicked decisions. We're not looking for any short-term gains of revenue. We want to take a measured strategic look at how we can make sure we're set up to be sustainable into the future, particularly in these times of change in the world of scholarly communications. So we're looking into this programme, which has 3 key goals: making our fees more equitable, simplifying our complex fee schedule, and rebalancing our revenue sources. And we're working with our membership and fees committee and also with our wider membership to look into these 3 areas. So that first goal around making fees more equitable. Now, this is really looking in detail at our membership fees. All members pay an annual membership fee, and these fees are tiered. So they are different depending on your organisation's ability to contribute to the infrastructure. And we measure that based on the publishing revenue, the annual publishing revenue of each organisation. And for organisations that don't have publishing revenue, we look at your publishing expenses. So what you budget in order to run your publishing activities, which gives us a sense of your ability to contribute along with all the other members to the infrastructure. There's 9 tiers for the membership. The lowest tier is for those who have publishing revenue of under $1 million a year, and those members pay $275 a year. The largest tier is for members who have more than 500 million in publishing revenue each year, and they pay $50,000 a year. Unsurprisingly, there's much fewer members in that largest tier than there are in the smallest tier. So looking at this, we're aware that our membership base is changing. These tiers probably made a lot of sense when we first started and we were working with larger publishing houses. But looking at the size, shape, location of new members, we want to check whether this, particularly this lowest fee tier, still makes sense, is still fit for purpose. And we also wanted to check whether basing this on publishing revenue or indeed publishing expenses still made sense, given that fewer and fewer organisations consider themselves to be publishers first and foremost. So to help with this, we surveyed all our independent members who were in that 275 category. We received over 1,000 responses, which was about a 13% response rate, which is not bad at all. And we've learned quite a few things. We asked a lot about what's their overall operating budget. So not just publishing, but the overall budget of their whole organisation, where their funding sources are, whether they have employees, whether they are run by volunteers. And we discovered that 19% of those members receive no income, and 30% of them spent more than 5% of their total organisation expenses on Crossref. The most common sources of funding for them are either government funding, article processing charges, and even self-funding from personal sources. And many members, particularly universities and libraries, would find it difficult if we change the basis of our membership fees to consider that overall organisation budget rather than the existing publishing revenue or publishing expenses. So what we're looking at next, it seems to be that changing the basis of the fee doesn't make sense. So the basis of the fee tiers will remain as publishing revenue or publishing expenses where there's no revenue. But we are looking to extend this basis to account for non-publishers. So, for example, currently funder members have a separate set of fees. So it could be that we can bring those fees together a bit more, which will also help with simplifying the fees. We're also going to be undertaking further research with members, another survey, but this time looking at publishing revenue on a much more granular level. So we can therefore look at how we can change the existing fee tiers to be more fit for purpose for the sorts of organisations we work with, and potentially creating an even smaller micro fee tier for our smallest members with very little income or those who may be self-funding, etc. Of course, we'll be liaising with our sponsor organisations, and we're hoping to take recommendations based on this survey to our Membership and Fees Committee in June, and then an update and a recommendation to the Crossref board in July. So do look out for a survey coming your way soon, asking for a bit more information. Goal 2 is all around simplifying our complex fee schedule. So we have different fees for different content types, and we also offer volume discounts for some content types, and also backfile discounts for others, which leaves us with 14 different record types, which can be further split down into 42 different content fees when you add in backfile and volume discounts. Very complex. Volume discounts in particular are quite complex. Often they can only be calculated at the end of a quarter. So for example, components of a reference book, at the end of the quarter, we look at all components for the same book title in that same quarter. So that means fees can't be calculated until right at the end of the quarter. So why is this complexity a problem? Well, it means that our billing code and our billing processes are very complicated. It also means it's difficult for potential members to understand the costs of working with Crossref. it's hard for us to offer a self-service way for them to plug in what they're intending to register and get a straightforward estimate. But it's also difficult for existing members to predict their fees as well, and hard for us to provide running costs to existing members or closing invoices for members who want to leave. The volume discounts make that particularly difficult. So we took a closer look at how many of our metadata records take advantage of these different types of discounts, what types of organizations and how many members are actually taking advantage of these discounts. And we learned a few things. For volume discounts in particular, it's a very small percentage of all the content registered with us actually benefits from these volume discounts. It was 630,000 records last year, but that's out of 11 million, so quite a small percentage. And actually, between 2021 and 2024, only 28 members took advantage of volume discounts, and they've tended to be, unsurprisingly, our larger sized members. And this is the discount that actually has the largest impact on billing complexity. Backfile discounts, they obviously, unsurprisingly, are there to encourage members to register their older content with us after they join, which can have a really positive impact in fleshing out and completing that research nexus. Some of them are heavily used, but others are very much underused. And there's an important angle here around whether the content type is in an early stage of adoption or not. So, for example, with grants, although the Crossref grant linking system recently celebrated its 5th birthday, it's still at quite an early stage of adoption. So there are still funders joining to register backfile. Oh, do excuse me, I have a cold.
Right, Rosa, I think you're muted. Whilst Amanda is indisposed for a moment, I'm quite happy to take on and cover some of the slides. So as Amanda mentioned, so for the proposal for goal 2 is to remove the volume discounts altogether, for the number of reasons related to complexity, and kind of low take up as well. Retain some of the backfile discounts for the highly used content types. We obviously do wish to continuously encourage the registration of content that either our new members have on their in their archives, or even our existing members might be looking to digitize. And so also content types that are in the early state of adoption, like the grants. So obviously when funder members are joining, most of the content, or items they would be looking to register for us for the moment would be past grants, and a lot of that proportionately might be backfile as well. So, but we would remove backfile discounts for less used and more mature content types, like those listed here, obviously, the conference proceeding, technical reports and working papers and theses and dissertations, and potentially also preprints and other posted content. Okay, now I think I may need to switch oh, thank you very much. So what are the next steps that you can expect from us here? So there will be a blog post that will share more information, and we'll be asking for feedback on that, for your reactions, potentially through the community forum most likely, but also in, there are other means of getting back to us, and there will be more contact details at the very end of the presentation as well. We will discuss it with our members who are the highest users of the discounts that are, that we are looking to let go of. And then we also will bring the results of those conversations and the feedback with the proposals into the discussion with our M&F committee in May, and propose a recommendation to the Crossref board in July.
Good stuff. Thank you, Cora. Sorry, the curse of the spring cold. So that's our first two goals of this project. And the final goal is all around rebalancing revenue sources. And this goal is aiming to reflect the increasing value of Crossref as a metadata source. So it may well involve changing the fees around our Metadata Plus service, or indeed other metadata services. So a lot more to follow on the RCFS programme. And finally, in the membership update, just a heads up to everyone that we've got a forthcoming update to our membership terms and our bylaws. So these changes aim to provide more clarity and alignment between the bylaws and the membership terms, and reflect previous board motions. They aim to bring both documents up to date with our current processes for suspending and revoking membership, and also how we review these decisions. And it's going to also allow us to be more explicit about what membership standards should be related to preserving the integrity of the scholarly record. So in terms of what happens next here, so the changes to the bylaws are already in effect. And the new membership terms will come into effect in mid-July. And in fact, we'll be emailing the primary contact on each member account within the next few days to let them know about these forthcoming changes. The membership terms, we give members 60 days heads up if anything is changing. You don't need to do anything by continuing to use our services. You're accepting the terms, but do look out for an email coming your way. And that's it. That's our membership update. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Cora, for jumping in. I shall stop sharing and pass over to our next speaker.
Patricia?
Yes, Patricia?
Sorry. All right. I'm going to give you a somewhat brief update on what is going on with our metadata schema. We have recently done a series of updates on our schema. We did a update to our funding schema. So we have done an update to our funding information. So the result of which anywhere now in our metadata schema and in our grant schema, if you use the latest version of our schemas, you can supply a ROR identifier wherever you previously would supply an identifier from our open funder registry. You can still supply the funder identifier, but now you can also supply the ROR identifier. And when we updated the grant schema to version 2.0, we added 3 new funding types: the APC for the article processing charge, BPC for book processing charge, and infrastructure.
So hopefully our funders will start taking advantage of those new funding types. With the 5.4 update of our input schema, we kind of had that's the first big update we've done in a while, so it's kind of exciting for us. We added three updates, major updates in that. Publication types for citations. We added status support for preprints. So if you are registering preprints with us, you can provide a status of withdrawn with the preprints if or removed if that status applies to the preprints you've registered with us. And you can now provide a version number across the board if you do register versions of items you register with Crossref with us. So for publication types for citations, if you're not sure what that is, basically that means when you register your citations with us. So for example, if you're registering a journal article with Crossref and you're supplying references for each citation within that list, you can identify what type of citation that is. So you can identify a journal article as a journal article, you can identify a book as a book, you can identify a data set as a data set. We've found that a lot of our members already have that metadata within their reference lists, and it can be extremely useful in identifying types of citations that kind of can get lost in reference lists, particularly if they don't have DOIs already assigned. Things like data sets and software. Sometimes downstream for people who are using our metadata, they aren't able to pull out data sets and software if the identifier isn't already attached to that citation. So if you are able to send that new type of metadata to us, we'd really appreciate it, and so would our metadata users. Excuse me. It's the season for allergies, I think. So what we're working on now, and I think this is an exciting update for a lot of people, we're working on our 5.5 update. We're expanding support for contributor roles, and we will be expanding the roles we support. We're going to be allowing multiple roles, and we are going to be adding support for the credit vocabulary. And we'll also be expanding support for the names we collect. We're going to be adding alternate and single names. We're going to be adding support for name identifiers, and we're going to be adding a new group contributor. I'm going to go into a little more detail on each of those a bit. So the credit vocabulary, if you're not familiar with it, it provides a lot more support for contributor roles beyond just authoring and editing. If you're familiar with the roles we currently support at Crossref, we support author, editor, translator, chair, and then we have some roles specific to peer review. But the credit vocabulary will allow you to recognize contributions pretty much across the board to research. So this will allow publishers who do collect this metadata, and we know a number of our members do collect this metadata, to send this to us and excuse me, and give credit to the researchers who are contributing to these research outputs. There isn't overall a one-to-one relationship between the Crossref taxon vocabulary and the credit vocabulary. But there are a few roles that are similar. When we update to add in the credit vocabulary, we are adding 2 new roles, we're adding corresponding author. That's been requested quite a bit. We're adding that to the Crossref vocabulary. And we're also adding an other option that this is so for members who do want to supply a name or an organization to capture a contribution, that if there is a role that we have not captured somehow, but they do want to supply a name and attach that somehow to a work. Another thing we are doing is we are going to remodel our current organization contributor to a group contributor. The reason we're going to do an overall remodeling of this contributor is it's currently you can supply a string, so just a string of letters and numbers as a contributor. There isn't really any room to add on any identifiers or any hierarchy within that contributor. So we've decided to just redo it entirely. Also, we found the term organization is really confusing to people supplying us metadata. We're finding a lot of affiliation metadata is provided within the organization element. So we're renaming that to group contributor. We're going to restructure the hierarchy so we can accept organization IDs and organization metadata. This will also support the new credit roles and multiple roles, as with the people names. And as I mentioned, we are going to improve name support and add support for single names. When I say single names, I mean mononyms. So if someone isn't currently, we only support breaking up names into given names and family names. So if you do have a contributor who just has a single name, you have to cram it into a given name or a surname or a family name. So now we'll just, you'll be able to supply that name in the appropriate element. And we'll also be making that element repeatable so that will accommodate different character sets and alternate names. We'll also be, excuse me, supporting name identifiers. Yet another thing we're working on in conjunction with that, we're adding a distinct element for grant DOIs and funding metadata. As we've mentioned, you can register DOIs for grants, and we're going to allow you to pull that out and send that in with the funding metadata. We're also working on supporting bits, ONIX, and a generic format for abstracts, and supporting funding acknowledgement and data availability statements in the metadata. It's possible things will all be included in the 5.5 update. It's possible these will be broken up into separate updates. I think that it all really depends on how the work unfolds. The credit update is going to involve some work to our system, and some of these other updates will not involve that much work. It's really just schema work. So I think our priority is the credit update. So I'm going to try to kind of cram as much into the credit update as I can. But so we're going to try to roll out as much as we can in the 5.5 update, but some of these things might come out in a 5.6 update, but we're going to try to get a lot of this out maybe by fall, hopefully by fall. So pay attention and stay tuned for more information about that. And I'll try to keep everyone posted on that news. In conjunction with this, we're going to also be rolling out a grants update. This also is going to be having more of a group contributor with support for beneficiaries and organizations. We're going to be expanding language support when I say expanded language support, basically that means anytime there's a text field, we're going to make that repeatable and add a language code. We're going to be adding support for project identifiers. Currently, that means RAID, but we'll also be able to add other project identifiers as they're supported by our community. And again, we'll add support for acknowledgement statements. And just big picture thinking, here I've got listed some of the things that we do intend to support. We won't get to them this year, but they are things that our community has asked for and would like to support. We've had requests for subject metadata and keyword metadata in our for a long time, and I would like to support them. I think this is something that will require a lot of planning. We've had a lot of requests for different types of dates in our metadata. I don't know if anyone's actually looked at our metadata schema, but it's 25 years, it's grown over 25 years very organically, and I think it needs a lot of attention. We have also over the years have had requests to build a vocabulary of journal article types. These are all kinds of challenging things that we haven't tackled in the past, but I would very much like to tackle them. I don't think it's really my job to do them on my own, so I am going to ask for help. So so what we're doing, we are going to form a metadata advisory group. In the past, we had a metadata interest group that was extremely useful and helped shape a lot of the metadata schema updates that we've rolled out and are rolling out currently. But we're going to form an advisory group, which is a little more formal and a little more a little more formal, a little more intentional. We're hoping that many of you will help us shape metadata development, help us really do some deep thinking and planning about our future and how our approach to where we're going to take metadata in the future. So I think someone's going to drop a link to the form to apply for our metadata advisory group into the chat. If not, I'll do it after very soon. And I hope that you will consider joining us. All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Patricia. Yeah, I will share my screen now. 1 second. There we go. Hope you can all see that okay. Yeah, hi everyone. Really happy to be here today. I'm Helena and I joined Crossref in February in the new role of Director of Programs and Services. So this is my first Crossref community call. So really excited to have a chance to discuss the programs and the Crossref roadmap with you. Yeah, maybe you already heard about it or read about it, but towards the end of last year, Crossref decided to switch from maybe a more traditional product approach to a programs approach. And the drivers behind that were to work towards better cross-team alignment, with people from all teams contributing to all conversations and decisions and prioritization, to have more shared responsibility, have improved communication and learning across the organization, and through all these things, just make more progress on the things that you, our members and community, need from Crossref. And so what that looks like in practice, we identified 3 different programs that are all led by a program lead and supported by program steering groups. And those program steering groups contain representatives from all the different teams within the organization, so that everyone is involved in the thinking around these different themes. The three programs that we have are co-creation and community trends, and contributing to the research nexus. Those two programs are led by colleagues who presented this morning and are therefore not on the call right now. And the third program, Open and Sustainable Operations, is led by my colleague Sarah, who will present immediately after me. And yeah, in my talk today, I want to touch on the different responsibilities and services that fall under each program, and also some of the work that's already been done and that we're planning to do within the programs. So yeah, so the first program, co-creation and community trends. All three programs are aligned with the Crossref strategic themes and goals, and this program maps to the co-creation strategic theme. And work here includes work on interfaces such as reports and dashboards, registration forms, and also collaborations with different services and organizations such as the Open Funder Registry, ROAR, ORCID Auto Update, also the OGS plugin and other partner plugins that Crossref has. It includes most of the things that you'd be interacting with, most of the front-end things, and also the Crossref website, for example. And another important thing to mention is that the program includes everything that relates to integrity of the scholarly record, which includes things such as crossmark, similarity check, and also any new research integrity tools that we may be working with. Within this program so far, some of the work that was done is work on the record registration form, built-in reference deposit within that, also submitting the ability to submit another article in the same journal or issue. Another work we did was integrating with Rogue Scholar to automate the archiving and assignment of DOIs for the Crossref blog. So now when we publish a blog post on our blog, we also assign a DOI to that. Then currently, some of the things we're working on, Amanda already talked about resourcing Crossref for future sustainability. And so some of the research and data gathering is taking place within the program, which I guess also shows that the programs do not only talk about and work on products and services, but really many different topics and work that's taking place within Crossref and also taking place within other teams, and that's then brought together within the programs. Other work happening right now is related to integrity of the scholarly record, investigation of individual cases, reviewing of the verification process. We're working on multilingual metadata quality webinars. Maybe you already attended one. And we're building a dashboard of previous deposits for the record registration form. A couple of things that we're looking to do later this year. We are hoping to modernize the participation reports interface. There's for similarity check users, there's a transition from the first version that people were using to a new version. We're building record registration forms for more work types. We're planning to sunset Metadata Manager. I think there was already a question about that in the Q&A. And we're working on an integration with DSpace so that members that are using DSpace as a platform can more easily register their content that sits on the platform with Crossref. Yeah, then the second program contributing to the research nexus. Obviously, the research nexus is a very important part of our vision. We see it as a rich and reusable network that represents scholarly activity. And in a way, all the programs contribute to that and work towards that. And this specific program is very much focused on connections and relations. And it oversees all activities related to adding information to the research nexus. A lot of it revolves around our REST API and other APIs, but also work on incorporating external data sources such as Retraction Watch, also sources that feed into event data, and work with our community of metadata users. Work that's happened within this program includes we added Retraction Watch retractions into the REST API. The changes for schema 5.4 that Patricia just talked about were implemented. We released the 2025 public data file, and there was a metadata sprint in Madrid for people wanting to explore what can be done with Crossref metadata. Then currently we're working on upgrading the REST API infrastructure. We're working on event data stability and thinking about the future of event data. And we're working on a new matching service to support all our different types of matching activities. And then later this year, we're planning to add more member metadata into the REST API. And we'll be doing a consultation on Metadata Plus to better understand how the community would like to use Crossref metadata. Then the third program, Open and Sustainable Operations, is aligned with our POSI strategic theme, POSI being the principles of open scholarly infrastructure, and it focuses on supporting and strengthening the core functions our members rely on. It includes things that relate to content registration, such as queue management, metadata processing, and also the sort of overall architecture and infrastructure of Crossref. And yeah, as I said earlier, the programs are not just about technology and product. So this also includes modernizing our operations in general, for example, things related to finance and HR. Yes, some of the things we've already done are moving from Oracle to an open source database and automating parts of the process to keep sponsor information on the website up to date. We're currently very busy working on moving out of our physical data center to AWS into the cloud. We're working on prefix allocation automation because that's currently quite a manual process. And we're automating the new member setup in our systems. Later this year, we're planning to extract billing code from our main code base to set it up as its own service. And we're also working on a sort of larger redesign of our system. So that's quite a big project for us that you'll hear more about. So before I wrap up, I wanted to say that you can track all the things I just talked about yourself. We have a strategy page that kind of summarizes the overall goals and also where we are with different things. And then we also have our roadmap openly available, and I'll click the link and hope that all works okay. So yeah, you can, someone I think will share the link in the chat so you can explore that after this meeting, but also just keep an eye on it over time to see where we are with things and what we're planning to do. Very briefly, something about the structure for those of you who may not be familiar with it. So you can see the timeline here. The little blue line indicates where we are in time. And then we've organized it by program. So you can see some of the metadata development things that Patricia talked about at the top. And then we have the 3 programs, co-creation and community trends, contributing to the research nexus, and open and sustainable operations. And for each program, you can see things that are done in gray, things we're currently working on in green, and things that are planned in yellow. So yeah, I would encourage everyone to take a look and keep an eye on the work we're doing. The roadmap is very much based on community input and feedback. So we're very happy to hear from you anytime if you have questions, input, feedback. And actually, the next part of this meeting is that my colleague Sarah will ask for some of your input that will help us prioritize some of the things on the roadmap. So I will stop sharing my screen, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Helena. As Helena mentioned, the next part of our talk today, we're gonna ask for your feedback. And so I put a link in the chat to join the Menti, or you can use the QR code on your screen or go to menti.com and I'll put in this code here at the top. So I'll give everyone a minute to get that set up. But in the meantime, I'm Sarah Bowman. I'm the program lead on the Open and Sustainable Operations program. And we want to hear about your metadata priorities, because the community's metadata priorities should be ours. So this is the best, this is a great way to gather some feedback from you. We're gonna go kind of quick through these. There's just, I think, 5 questions, so try not to overthink them. Give us what's on the top of your mind. So let's go ahead and get started. The first question is, what types of research outputs do you see as the area of fastest growth in your field? Preprints, books, blogs, other things? Lots of preprints. Inputs, pre-registrations, interesting. Data management plans. Data sets, code, podcasts. Web-based interactive books, monographs, videos. Yeah, podcasts. I haven't heard that one before. Interesting. Excellent. Okay, I'll give it another 10 seconds. Words, data sets. Excellent. Thank you all. Let's move along to the next one. What additional record types would you like Crossref to support? Yes, data sets. Artwork and performances. A couple posters coming in also. Video protocols, interesting. Another couple seconds. Thank you. Okay, move on. What type of records and metadata do you wish it was easier to submit or update manually? For those members that maybe can't create XML on their own and use one of our helper tools, like the web deposit form or the new record registration form. Citations and reference lists, everything. Corrections and retractions, crossmark, kind of related there. And relationships and versions coming up a lot also. This is great. Thank you for all your feedback. Move on to the next question. And what types of metadata are you currently working on adding to your records, or what are you hoping to work on next? We've got some defined references, abstracts, contributor IDs like ORCID, organizational IDs like ROAR, funding metadata, or maybe something else. Lots of votes for ROAR. And working on ROAR next. Yeah, it's exciting to see that. Where's all of the above? That's what we were missing. Hi. I will admit I can't remember if there's one more question or if this is the last one, so we're all going to be surprised together. There is one more. What additional types of metadata would you like to see in Crossref data? Subjects and keywords. Cora has appeared. This must mean I'm out of time. Lots of you looking for keywords. And credit. Great news. Orthogonal abstract. Subjects and keywords, definitely a takeaway from this one. Give it another 30 seconds before Cora gets twitchy. Hey. Perfect. Thank you all for your feedback. We certainly appreciate it. It's really useful for us to hear from the community what you're working on and what you'd like to see us working on. So with that, I will stop sharing and pass it back to Cora.
Right, thank you, Sarah. Yeah, I am not going to immediately get twitchy. All I wanted to say is that I think we've got ourselves a little bit of time, which I think suggests that we could potentially spend the next few minutes to go through some questions. We had a lot of excellent questions in the Q&A, and I wonder if, and we perhaps could answer some of them live. I'm not sure. Patricia, would you be ready to answer some of yours? Because there was a lot of questions about and there was a lot of questions about the schema upcoming updates.
Sure.
Just to clarify, when I've put on the slide, I have lost sight of the Q&A. So if you can take a look at the Q&A, that would be an easier way of fishing out the questions, because I can't see them at the moment. All right. Well, Patricia is thinking of choosing the question. I think, Colin, you have answered a question about Metadata Manager, which is popping out a few times, and I think Shane has also chipped in on that topic too. We had some questions about plans for Metadata Web Manager and whether there is anything different or better than the web deposit form, which I think we are now ready to say that there's definitely something better. I'm not sure if the link has already been shared in chat, but if not, we can definitely send some, those of you interested in, well, either upgrading from the web deposit form or exploring the options instead of as an alternative to Metadata Manager. The record registration form is there, and it collects much richer metadata than the web deposit form was doing, and it also has some automated checks in it to help prevent kind of errors and failed deposits. All right, and Patricia, would you be ready?
Yeah, I guess, well, Bianca Kramer had a question about the funding types, excuse me, in the grant schema. She wanted to know if the APC and BPC types were intended for the individual article level or for more specific funding programs. And so the answer was, I think they were requested for larger scale funding programs to be. So in the grant schema, you can register a variety of different funding types for a specific award. So if so you can maybe for a single award, you can break it down by, well, any number of funding types. So if you can say this award has 75%, this much is just an award, and 25% APC. I know that's not a realistic number, but I'm just coming up with something. As opposed to having a DOI registered for just an APC. And I think it was the former situation was the request, but it could certainly be applied to a single article request. It just, that wasn't, I don't think, the request, and I don't know if any of our funders are intending to use it that way, but I think that would actually be very useful if they did. So.
Thank you, Patricia. I can see that there is quite a few questions about timescales or what is in the plans for on the roadmap. I think we will need to move on now to our next and quite exciting point of the agenda. So I would like to say that perhaps we can drop the link to the product board again in the chat. And I think that's a good way to explore some of those questions. And I think colleagues will be able to type some of the answers as well whilst we move on to the next topic. Thank you, everyone. All right, so it is hopefully something that many of you would have been waiting for. We have announced that we'll be awarding our first ever Crossref Metadata Awards at this at the mid-year calls today. So as you can see, it's emphasized by our occasional logo. We're celebrating the 25th anniversary this year for Crossref, and we decided to, take the year and do a lot of new things and do some usual things differently. And hopefully also kind of much closer connection with the community as well. Crossref is created by and for the community. And so again, here is an example where Crossref Metadata Awards, we're hoping that this will create a space for celebrating together the successes of our own members, in that space for celebrating how metadata is growing in Crossref. And to introduce the awards, let me now introduce Lisa Schiff, the chair of our board of directors, who will be presenting the first ever Crossref Metadata Awards. Lisa is associate director of the Publishing Archives and the Digitization Group of the California Digital Library, and is obviously also a very active member of the publishing community on many advisory groups and boards. So over to you, Lisa.
Thank you, Cora, and hello, everybody. It's really a pleasure to be here, and I'm really excited to be part of presenting these awards. So just a few comments before we get to the actual awards. Excuse me. So Crossref exists to make scholarly communications better by making research objects easy to find, cite, link, assess, and reuse. And our members contribute their metadata to weave the research nexus, a rich and reusable open network that connects scholarly works with people, institutions, and actions. The rich metadata forming the research nexus improves discoverability of and trust in public works across stakeholder groups and drives a vast and growing range of critical activities. Because of the centrality of metadata to so many important activities, we believe it's time to recognize organizations that have significantly contributed to supporting others across the scholarly ecosystem with their metadata. Our awardees have been selected on the basis of the overall highest level of completeness on metadata elements included in the Crossref participation reports as of March 2025. These public reports provide information about the proportion of a given member's records that include the following high-value metadata elements: references, abstracts, ORCID IDs, affiliations, ROR IDs, funder registry IDs, funding award numbers, crossmark enabled, text mining URLs, and license URLs. Marking our 25th anniversary, we are launching the Crossref Metadata Awards to emphasize our community's role in stewarding the scholarly record and to recognize leadership in metadata best practices. It gives me great pleasure to recognize 6 organizations for their metadata excellence. The winners have been selected as leaders in their specific organizational category. So, Crossref staff had the pleasure of meeting our first winner in person during the March Crossref ACRA event. With 57% coverage of key metadata elements across their records, they are a leader among the members in our Global Equity Membership Program. So the first Crossref Metadata Excellence Award goes to Noyam Publishers.
Thank you, Crossref, for recognizing our efforts in registering metadata with you over the last 5 years. I would also want to thank Professor Jonathan Kuwonu Ajauto, the brain behind Noyam Journals. Thank you for birthing this idea to encourage African scholarship. To our other team members, thank you for your support. Registering metadata with Crossref has tremendously increased our readership across the globe. And we are excited for this opportunity, not only to receive this award, but also help other publishers and institutions within the African sub-region to join Crossref. As a small publisher in Ghana, West Africa, this award means a lot to us. It emphasizes the fact that it's possible for other small publishers to maximize the use of Crossref.
Great. So congratulations to Noyam. The competition for our next award among small members, which are those organizations with less than $1 million of annual publishing revenue or expenses, is closer than in any other category. 4 organizations boast over 70% coverage of key metadata elements across their records, while the leader achieved 82% coverage. This Crossref Metadata Excellence Award goes to Giga Science Press.
Hi, I'm Scott Edmonds from Giga Science Press, and I am honored to accept one of these first ever Crossref Excellence in Metadata Awards. So metadata quality has been an area that we've actually been particularly interested and focused on. So it's just a really nice surprise to be acknowledged and recognized for these efforts. We initially became focused on this because we were really thinking about discoverability of our content, but it's had extremely useful, handy kind of side effects in making third-party integrations with tools like OA Switchboard a lot easier. Our technical partners have found it very useful in developing new tools for research integrity as well. I would particularly like to thank our technical partners, River Valley Technologies, for all of their hard work in addressing our very challenging and exacting standards. Their novel publishing platform has been key to all of this. I would also like to thank the rest of the team as well as BGI for all of their support. So thank you, everybody.
So congratulations again to Giga Science Press. The next winner is the consistent leader among our medium-sized members, those organizations with publishing revenue or expenses between $1 and $10 million. They have 85% coverage of key metadata elements and have shown consistent dedication to metadata quality over the years. They're also the first publisher to include Crossref grant IDs in their records, fully adopting the grant linking system. The next Crossref Metadata Excellence Award goes to eLife.
We're very grateful to Crossref for this award. Many thanks to their entire team for providing vital infrastructure for scholarly communication in such an open, robust and community-focused way. There are many people at eLife that have worked hard to improve our metadata, including Andy and the editorial team, our production vendors Exeter Pre-Media, as well as my team Rebecca, Nasheen and James, who do the work to ensure everything is correct and complete. And finally to Graham Knott, the developer behind our open source metadata deposit systems, who made it all possible. Our key learning would be that while metadata should be considered at all parts of the research workflow, especially at the start, don't be afraid to explore using a good public API like Crossrefs or RAWs to enrich your metadata at a later stage. Thanks again.
Congratulations, eLife. The leader among large organizations with more than $10 million in publishing revenue or expenses embarked on a metadata quality improvement project several years ago, which continues to bear fruit as we see 56% coverage of the key metadata elements across their records today. This Crossref Metadata Excellence Award goes to the American Society for Microbiology.
Hi, I'm Dave Haber, the Publishing Operations Person at American Society for Microbiology. On behalf of everyone at ASM, thank you for this recognition. We're honored to receive Crossref's inaugural Metadata Excellence Award. This achievement is a result of a thoughtful collaborative effort across our organization, an effort lifted and supported by Melissa Jr., our Executive Publishing Officer, and guided by the vision and leadership of Deborah Plavin, who spearheaded much of the early work that drove a perception shift across ASM. Although Deborah has moved to a new organization to continue the spread of the gospel of good data, her commitment to rich, reliable metadata continues to guide our approach. One key lesson we've learned is that meaningful progress doesn't require perfection from day one. Start small, find manageable wins, refine as you go, and build a shared understanding across all your teams. Good metadata is more than just a technical specification, and it's not just for those XML wonks and nerds. It's a service to science and its core mission to help us understand the world around us. Thank you again to Crossref for this recognition and for being a partner in our continuing journey forward. Thank you.
And congratulations again to the American Society for Microbiology. Because it often takes time to hone new processes and learn about metadata best practices, we want to recognize metadata excellence among our new members, those that have joined Crossref within the past 2 years. Our Crossref Metadata Excellence Awards among new members goes to Universidad La Salle Arequipa, Peru, who joined Crossref in May 2023 and have 71% metadata coverage across their records.
Hi, my name is Yaciel from La Salle University of Arequipa, Peru. It's a true honor to receive this recognition at Crossref Metadata Excellence Award. This award highlights not only our work in the scientific journal portal, but also our university's strong commitment to quality, transparency, and visibility in academic publishing. I especially want to thank the journal editor and the technical staff who have worked very hard to ensure each publication is supported by rich, complete, and well-structured metadata. We believe that sharing accurate, complete, and timely metadata is not a technical task, it's a responsibility to open science and global collaboration. One important lesson we like to share with the community is that metadata excellence is not about the technology, it's about building a culture of collaboration and continuous training. Thank you, Crossref, for guiding us for your best practice and recognizing those of us who believe in open and connected sciences. Thank you very much.
And congratulations to the Universidad La Salle Arequipa, Peru. Crossref members don't just register their records, they also steward and maintain their metadata over time. We recognize the member who achieved the biggest transformation of their records in the past 2 years. The Crossref Metadata Enrichment Award goes to Instituto Geológico y Minero de España, who achieved the highest change in their overall metadata coverage for their records in the space of the past 2 years.
Hi, this is Rubén Díaz Fernández. I'm editor-in-chief of Boletín Geológico y Minero. Our journal is edited by Editorial CSIC, based in Spain, and in close collaboration with Instituto Geológico y Minero de España. Our journal publishes papers within the scope of geology and in the geosciences. We would like to thank Crossref for the Metadata Enrichment Award we have received. We are committed to high-quality metadata for the works we publish, and we are happy to know that we are leaders in this field. Among Crossref members, our journal is being recognized for the greatest difference in metadata coverage, jumping from over 1% to more than 40% during the past 2 years. We hope that we can keep this track, and once again, thank you for the award.
So congratulations to Instituto Geológico y Minero de España. So each of today's awardees will be interviewed for the Crossref blog, where the winners will share how they achieved their high level of metadata completeness. And to close, I'd like to once again congratulate all the winners and wish you further success with your metadata work. And with that, I will hand it back to Cora.
Thank you, Lisa. I hope everybody enjoyed learning about our winners. Again, I will take also the advantage of having a mic, so to speak, and congratulate our Metadata Excellence awardees, Neuen Publishers, GigaScience Press, eLife, American Society for Microbiology, and the Universidad La Salle, Arequipa, Peru. As well as the Crossref Metadata Enrichment awardee, Instituto Geológico y Minero de España. So thank you very much. And obviously, thank you to all our members who strive to have good metadata within, your means and the stage in the journey you are in your kind of looking after the metadata for your publications. If you see the announcement for the awards, we decided to also highlight some of the other organizations who really did a good work in different areas of metadata and different areas of or different types of works that they can register with Crossref. So please take a look at that when you have a minute. This, I think at this point, we've finished with the awards, so I'll hand back to Rosa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cora. So before we wrap up, I just wanted to take a quick look here to make sure that we don't have any questions remaining. I think we're all answered. Yep, we're clear. Wonderful. So thank you very much for starting to explore your own metadata using participation reports. Please know that we have regular sessions where we provide hands-on support with improving metadata with our metadata health check webinars, and you can find that the upcoming sessions on our website at crossref.org/events. And to continue the conversation, you can find us on Mastodon, on social media, Mastodon and Blue Sky. But most of all, please join us on our community forum. You can get in touch with us on our feedback email. Perhaps you'll consider subscribing to our newsletter, which you can find in the footer on the website. Thank you to all the presenters and colleagues who are helping to answer all of the questions. Thank you again to Lisa for helping us present the awards, and to all of you for building the Research Nexus together. We'll follow up in the next couple of days with a recording and some slides. And yeah, so thank you very much for joining us today. Be well, and bye for now.